Hi, I'm Roberto. Welcome to my videos. If you want to learn to speak Spanish, if you're a beginner, you're at the right place. Let's go right into the video. It's not easy trying to learn to speak a new language, especially if you don't have any experience. If you don't know where to start, what to do, that's what my videos are about. They're mainly for beginners right now. Once you learn how to learn to speak a new language, you can do it with as many languages as you want. When you're 3 months old, you realize that you could make sound. You finally learned to say mama and dada, and actually you really didn't know what they meant, but they created a really good reaction so that you were learning to figure out what language is all about, because that's what you wanted to do. That was the whole thing in your whole life. That's what you were thinking. You were seeing all these people talking at you. And so you wanted to talk back to them. And there was a point there where you thought you were talking back to them, but you were still too young to actually make the correct sounds and the correct familiar sounds that you were supposed to make in that language. But anyway, your brain figured it all out. So, because everybody learns to speak. Unless there's something wrong with your brain, every child learns to speak. We have at least 7,000 different languages on the earth today. The brain is hooked up in such a way that if we just feed it the information that it needs to learn to speak a new language, it will do it. We have to remind your brain of the skills that you already have in learning to speak a brand new language. Okay, all right, maybe you've never heard it before. Well, start listening to it. Maybe you heard it, but it's too fast, or it seems like it's too fast. And actually it isn't too fast because you're too slow. What I'm saying is that the brain hasn't had a need to use those skills that it has to learn to speak a new language. It hasn't done it in a long time, since you were a baby. So it doesn't really feel like it wants to. But you can wake it up by starting to go through the stages that you went through when you were a baby, and thereby not really forcing the brain to do it, although you could do it that way. But actually, a baby learns to speak because he really wants to speak. He wants to learn to speak. It's a big thing that's going on all around him every day, almost every minute of the day, and he lives in that environment of this talking environment. Mother talking to him, baby brother, or older brother, or something. This talking thing, he would love to be able to carry on a conversation with people that are trying to carry on a conversation with him. So that's what the baby's trying to do. But you're not a baby anymore, and you were doing it really for your mother, which was the primary, or whoever was the primary caregiver. You're really trying to do it for them. As an adult, if you want to learn to speak a new language, you really need to want to do it. There has to be a psychological need for you to do it, just like there was when you were a baby. Psychological need when you were a baby was to please your mother. You loved her, and she talked to you every day, and she was making sounds that you wish that you could make them also. And you think you are anyway as a baby. You're talking back to your mom talks to you, and every once in a while you'll say a combination of sounds that sound familiar in that language, and your mom will go, "Oh." So that's the process that we're trying to kick start. Let's begin by trying to learn how to ask questions in Spanish. Actually do it. Speaking wise. All right, let's start with the word what. So if you're going to ask a question to an older person, older than you, like what are you doing, what do you want, all of those things, you have to use a different word than que. You have to use that word that requires a little bit of being more polite, if you would. And that would be mande. Mande. Mande comes from an old word, but it's still used. Spanish is that way. It has a bunch of words that go all the way back to Latin, which is 2,000 years ago. So, and it's been used for 2,000 years. And the word is mande. Mande. So remember, for what, the word what, there's two. There's one that's mostly used, which is que. It's pronounced que. What do you want? ¿Qué quieres? What do you want? ¿Qué quieres? Right? But if you're talking to an older person, you can't say what do you want, or you can't even say what. So you have to say mande. So we're starting with enough sounds that you won't trip your mouth up. That's what we're doing at the very beginning. When you're a beginner, you're trying to put or just start with one word and then put two words together, and then three words together, and so on and so forth. So what we're trying to do is to teach the mouth, by using the brain, how to speak in those familiar sounds that are used in that language. But first of all, we got to wake up the mouth that's hooked up to the brain, so it'll be able to speak this brand new language, which we call Spanish. Let's go to the second one. Phrases with where, donde. The word for where is donde. Okay? For example, where are you? ¿Dónde estás? Where are you? ¿Dónde estás? And ¿dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives? That B of vives, the two B's there, are pronounced a little bit softer than English because Spanish is not an explosive language. That means that you speak Spanish closer than you would English. And you should learn it at that range too. So if you're listening or learning to speak Spanish by listening to the TV or whatever, turn it up a little bit louder so that you'll start to almost feel the vibrations of the speech. Your body knows how to feel the vibrations of the speech. You've already hopefully watched some of my other videos that you just don't hear with your ears, but you feel the vibrations in your body. And I'm feeling myself right now as I'm talking to you. I can feel the vibrations in my body from the vocal cords. Let's go to the next one. When is cuando. So when did you get here? ¿Cuándo llegaste? There you go. ¿Cuándo llegaste? Now we're starting to put pairs of syllables together, making them longer and longer. So we're trying to build utterances. So we're trying to build a whole chain of sounds that are familiar to that particular language, which is, in this case, Spanish. That's what you're trying to do when you're trying to learn how to speak. You're not just trying to remember words and phrases and things like that. No, you have to first kickstart your brain so that it can start listening and actually feeling the language in order to continue learning. So the more you speak to somebody in that language, the more you're going to learn. The more familiar you're going to become with all the speech patterns, the familiar speech patterns in that language. So we're trying to help the brain start to speak by listening, not only to the person that you're talking to, but to your own self. Just as I'm doing it in English, right? I'm listening to what I'm saying, right? So it's just a little, I'm a little bit late on it, so I might go through the half of the word before I stop and say to myself, oh, I don't want to use that word, I'd rather use this other word, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's the way we talk. We speak in utterances. So that's what we're trying to learn to do. How do you learn to speak utterances in Spanish? Or another way to put it, how do you learn to speak Spanish like regular people do? So it's not about trying to memorize anything, okay, the whole thing. Don't really memorize. I'd rather you become familiar with listening to other people say it at the regular speed of speech, So we're trying to get, because right now, when you hear people speak in Spanish, you think they're speaking too fast, but it really isn't. The real truth is that your skill has slowed down a little bit because you haven't used it since you were a baby. So we're trying to wake it up and then speed it up to where actually when you're speaking to somebody, you're learning new sounds, new words, and the brain is just digesting everything at the speed of light, because remember, the brain is electrical, so it's at the speed of light, and speech is not electrical, speech is at the speed of sound, so that's really why we can speak, because we can use the brain, which works at the speed of light, a lot faster. I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, so we're trying to wake up this brain now. So that's why we're going through these phrases. We're going to do number 4 now, which is why. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? That means why. Why? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué hablaste? Why did you talk? That's funny. Okay, I'm sorry. Why are you going? ¿Por qué te vas? Why are you eating that? ¿Por qué estás comiendo eso? There's a whole bunch of sounds that to me are familiar, right? And they're in the correct pattern. The chain of sounds coming out is called Spanish. Number 5 is a who. ¿Quién? 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 Who? Who did it? ¿Quién lo hizo? ¿Quién lo hizo? ¿Quién? You hear the quién? Who did it? ¿Quién lo hizo? ¿Quién lo hizo? ¿Quién lo hizo? Now you're trying to learn to say ¿quién lo hizo? And every time that you want to learn to speak a new phrase, you want to learn to say it first before you even waste your time in learning what it means. Because if you can't say it, well, who cares what it means, right? Okay, so first you have to learn how to say it correctly. So you have to become familiar with the sounds, both the vowel sounds and the consonants, which are different in English and different in Spanish, right? Spanish has only 5, A, E, I, O, U, so yeah, it's half the language. Jeez, it's so easy. English has, 20, 25, I stopped counting. And then number 6 is how much? How much? ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuánto? So you just say the word ¿cuánto? That's it. There you go. ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuánto? So notice that they're not long words, which means they're not long utterances. So we're learning to add more sounds. Every video that I make, we're going to be practicing with more sounds because if you start practicing long phrases right now, your mouth just won't be able to keep up with, and you'll be teaching your brain the wrong way to say it. So no, don't even try to memorize these long phrases. There's a lot of people that do, and they're very proud, and they're saying them all wrong. I'm trying to tell you about learning to speak it correctly, only because when you do speak it correctly, that means by that time you train your ear to understand when a real Spanish person is talking to you and the sounds that they're making, you're familiar with the sound, which means you're familiar with the words that they're saying, that they're using in their utterance, and so that you can somehow decipher what their real meaning is. Because we say a lot of stuff, and we can say it different ways, and we mean different things, right? So that's what language is about. You learn to say these particular utterances, and the way you twist them and make questions out of them, or be cynical about it, or whatever, the way they come out, the way your brain tells your mouth to manipulate them as they're coming out, is the way that people speak. So I can be cynical as I'm speaking right now. I can be funny, or at least to myself. Or I can be anything, saying the same words. So it's the words that we have, the actual speaking of the words. So remember, we're trying to wake up the brain through the ear and the vibrations of the body, which are very important. And that vibrations of the body takes closeness or more volume. Just turn up the volume when you're learning to speak a new language so you can learn to hear it, because you got to hear those sounds so that you can become familiar enough to be able to repeat them and then to say them correctly. Because once you wake up your brain to start learning again to say things correctly, you'll be learning to speak by talking to others. And so you'll be learning every day. It's like you have a portable recorder here, and you do a portable computer that you can just take around with you anywhere. It's going to be with you anyway, right? And it's not like a little briefcase with a computer in it or whatever that you have to carry around and forget that you might lose it, leave it somewhere. No, you carry all this information up here. You just got to wake it up. Wake it up, wake it up, wake up, wake up. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Yeah, I'm getting crazier on every video. All right, thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe and like me or not like me. I really don't care. I just want to put that information out there for you guys, and then you digest it the way you want to. Thank you very much for listening.